Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again. Last night, President Barack Obama did his last State of the Union address. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't listen to it. In fact, my wife was downstairs listening to him on the telly, and I had to go and close the door because I didn't want to hear anything he had to say. I remember when, say 8 years ago or so, when Barack ran for president of the United States, a black man looking really black and exciting all of the black race and other minorities because they saw him as one who has never given the time to express the feelings and the ideology of a different people. And they always thought, you know, we think that we are better. Everybody think that they're better individually, as a group, ethnically, whatever. And so we saw him as being our savior. I didn't vote for him. In fact, I haven't voted for any president since Bill Clinton's first time. And the reason is because at that time I knew the solutions to the problems in this society that I wanted to fix. When I say I wanted to fix, that means that I have a prescription for it. Like a doctor, you got a headache, you got a prescription for it. Your heart crack and break, he has a prescription, or change your heart. So, you know, I feel like that is my specialty when it comes down to this nation and really this world. But like the doctor anywhere, he only treats those patients that come to him, the patients that says, I need you. And here we're talking about a society that feels that it's on the right track, and a guy that, like me, who is existing in a system that they've set up to kind of keep me silent or to make it appear as though I have nothing to offer. Nobody's come. And even though I stood out to offer, nobody took the bait. So here's what I say to all of you. When I was thinking about this message, I was thinking about giving it to men alone. And then I thought about how silly that would be. And so I decided to include Christians. Maybe Christians along with the men. And then I thought about how silly that would be. So I decided to include everybody. And what I want to talk to you about is, there is a snake in this house. There is a snake in this house. Let me ask you, how many of you have ever heard a snake speak? How many of you have ever heard a snake say anything other than maybe a hiss, a hiss? But let me show you, ladies and gentlemen, a snake can speak. Now, what do we see a snake as being? A snake appears to be someone that's in the grass, hidden, sneaky. Don't want to be seen crawling in the dust, finding his food, hiding under the grass or in a crack. Snake. There was a song put out some time ago about a guy who found a snake, and he was in love with the snake, and ended up, to make the story short, the snake ended up biting him. And he looked at the snake and said, wow, why did you bite me? And the snake said, wait a minute, bro. You knew I was a snake. That's what we do. So you trusted a snake. Now, a snake is in this house. A snake, a destroyer. Many of you have looked at the garden in the Bible that's spoken of by Adam and Eve. God supposedly creating Adam, putting Adam in the garden to take care of it. And you know some people who can take care of a garden so fine. I mean, the flowers are beautiful, all of the plants are just, and you look at it and you say, wow, how fantastic. Well, this was Adam's responsibility. Adam was created to do this. And in time, as the word go, or the metaphor is, it is a message, and whether it's true exactly, or whether it's just in reference to, the message is still real. So God, needing company, in this respect, created Adam. And as God needed Adam, then God saw that Adam needed someone as well to keep him company, to be a helpmate in all that God has for men to do. God, knowing this, took the power of God and brought Eve forth. I'm not going to go how and all that kind of stuff because I really don't know. But I do know women are here. And so, having God chosen Adam, made Adam, and Adam working for God, taking care of God, the difference that made Adam always aware that he was not equal to God is that there is something that God required that men do not do. You respect this. All things you can do, but you respect this. For you will know always, and it is indicated by what you're doing, and this is the reason why I am God. Remember that. Okay. But there's a snake in this house. And so, Eve is presented. Eve comes forth. And Adam, as God has shared with Adam, Adam shares with Eve. Now, Eve has the same responsibility and obedience to God that Adam has. But understanding that Eve's duty and role in the creation is not the same as Adam's. Adam's is to do one thing, Eve is to do another. Men are to do certain kinds of things, women are to do a certain kind of things. Made like that. But you still got to honor God. So what is it? Thou shalt not. And in so doing, but there's always, and I don't know, I will say the weaker sex. I don't know if it was Adam. I don't want to say it was Eve. But one of them, for those of you who believe in the apple story, saw that apple and say, I can't resist it. And so that one took a bite of that apple, knowing that something strange might happen, but the desire was so great, so strong, that they couldn't resist. And having bit the apple, they saw no changes. So this kind of makes me think it was the woman. Because God did not put this on the woman. He put it on Adam. So when she took off the apple, she noticed nothing. I know some of you say the snake was in the tree, touched her, told her something. No, that was her own mind, because being created, one fantastic thing about God is that God wants your obedience, but he gives you choice. And so you can do something else other than what God wants you to do. And so that's what happened, and they found out, oh, she didn't see anything that had happened different other than she had experienced that apple, and it was mighty good, especially since she wasn't supposed to touch it. That's what many of you think. Others would say it wasn't like that. Others would say it was God put Adam and Eve and then told them to stay away from sex. And for some strange reason, before time, and that comes from the fact, parents here, you know how it is. If you got a girl, you teach your girl to abstain from sex. Don't indulge yourself in sex. Stay away from it till you're grown and married and out of this house on your own. Raise your family when you are able to do that. Don't be going having sex. And they tell you that sometimes. They say you'll get pregnant and have a baby. I think they say that sometimes. But anyway, most of the times the men don't say that to their boys. Some do now. But many men look at that as a big success, a prowess. You've accomplished something to be able to go out and go crazy. So here in this situation, Adam and Eve violated and got into it. Now see, when your parents tell you not to go out and have sex, they don't tell you this. You can't go out and have sex to try it and think that's that. Because because once you touch it, it got you. And you could be coming back and back and back. How many of you know of people who have said when they got pregnant, they were told their mom it was the first time, and they got caught the first time? Now, all of you know the truth, right? Sure, of course you do. But anyway, don't do it. It has its consequences. Now, when Eve, if we're going to take the story that Eve decided that she was going to taste this apple, and she went and told Adam about it, and Adam says, oh, no way am I going to taste this apple. No way. Why? Because God left it with Adam. The day that you do this, the day you will surely die. Now, Adam abstaining. But if this is about sex, I can see Eve saying, why do I see Eve say? Because that's what happens in our society. That's what happens in life. Unless you eat off this apple, you're not going to have sex with me. And man had already dibbled and dabbed. Having done that, he misses it. And he looks at Eve and sees that Eve is still Eve. And maybe there won't be any changes in him either. And so he bibbles on the apple. And having done so, he finds himself afraid. His conscience is banging. I've done something I've never done before. I've violated the rules of life. What's going to happen to me now? Ooh, scared in the head got him, man, nervous. His conscience is bothering him. He just can't be peaceful like he used to be. He's thinking to himself. He's going inside of himself. What have I done? What are the consequences going to be? He never had to experience it before. Now he finds himself not in the protective spirit, the protective mind that gave him peace and joy and all of the things that he did, or had done. Now he finds himself struggling, wondering what it is that he has to do in order to satisfy the wrong that he's done. He's struggling. Where once he didn't have to worry about food and clothes because it was easy to get, it was accessible, it was joy in getting it. Now you got to go. Why? Because your garden has gone astray. The weeds are growing all up around everything. You got to go and weed your way through the bushes and find the berry that's hiding. You didn't have to do that before. The garden was beautiful. But you and your activities going against the will of life have created a situation, an environment where weeds can grow. And that brought them to the point in life where the truth that they couldn't hide was that Eve had to bring forth a child. And if you bring forth one, you bring forth many. But in the analogy that I'm referring to right now, only one other at this time. And I can see, based upon what the world is teaching us every day, that one was following the father more than not. The other one hanging around the mother more than not. And I can see where they have come from that wonderful paradise garden into this briar patch trying to survive. That they are disgusted with one another. Disgusted with one another. Mad with one another. When you're walking around the house, there's no peace there. You're not communicating in such a way that the kids can see the unity of you, the love that's flowing from you to you, the same love that flows from you to God, but that love has been violated. You don't know how to love now. You're going crazy. You're acting crazy, and the kids see it. And so each, because of tradition, have to give and show a gift for something like that to God. So one offers a gift, another offers a gift, and it appears that one's gift was more acceptable than the other. Now, was it? I don't know. But the way the story goes is that it upset one so much until it ended up killing the other one. Now, what is that? That's an expression of Adam violating God's command. I should have no other gods before me. And it all led because Adam was distracted by that voice, which was a snake in this house. Now, even in Eve, you say, where was the snake in that house? It was in her mind. Oh, that apple is fantastic. And I can say that again about women because women love beautiful stuff. God made a woman, and woman is beautiful. She was made to enjoy beautiful things. She was made to be beautiful at all times. But there's a way to be beautiful. You heard people say she's beautiful inside, even though she don't look that gorgeous on the outside. Then there are those who should look so good on the outside, but she's hell inside. And then there are those that's right on time. But where are they? I don't know. I can't tell you that. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we find ourselves in this world today. We find ourselves in this world today the same as yesterday. And we hear people saying, what are we going to do about it? We got a presidential election coming up. We got people saying we're going to do this and we're going to do that. None of them, my friends, even though they're saying things different, some don't seem to be so detrimental as others, but none leads to the peace that we all seek inside. And we're all watching the television, we're listening, and we're reading the newspapers, and we're going through debates. We're arguing with our friends because they're interested in another, trying to say, what are we going to do to get our one in office? Because he's going to look out for our interests, and that's the one we want. How many of you are sitting there saying we need somebody that's going to be concerned about all of us? How many of you have to ever think about these kinds of things? Somebody that will look out after the black man, after the white man, after men, after women, after children, after old folk, after Americans and people like everybody. How many of you have been taught to think that that's impossible because you're living in a world that's founded on that kind of stuff. That's what you're supposed to think. That means that every now and then, I don't know why, but God, and I say God because amongst us, somebody comes up and starts speaking about things that make us feel good inside, make us want to do things, even though our system of operation is against it. Many of us, over time, have indulged ourselves anyway. Many of us have lost our lives because we stood up, and yet we are here today because of those that stood up, and yet we have gone no further because of the many, the good, wonderful folks who are sitting down. There's a snake in this house. And that snake is robbing us. I come to tell you today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be through with it. You know doggone well, the people out there are so divisive, it's a crying shame, talking about being president. Barack Obama, as I listened to him through the news media the next day in the morning, I heard him say something about getting rid of ISIS. And if he was able to get rid of bin Laden, he'll be able to get rid of ISIS as well. What that mean? Killing them. What that mean? Killing bin Laden, did it stop anything? So even if you kill ISIS, will it stop anything? If that which created it in the beginning is still in existence, it will continue to exist. And until you do something to destroy the roots, to take that weed out of that garden and pull it in the trash, and allow the berries and the wonderful plants to bloom and blossom, and those plants are you. Why? Because it is you that know how to do it. How do you know how to do it? Because it is you expressing the insides of you, the life that you are now. This is what being righteous is about. This is why you find yourselves absent of the joy you seek. Because every now and then, whenever, and I'm telling you this, listen to me well. I don't want to play games with you. I'm not going to try to please you in that way. I want to tell you the truth as I have seen it. I want to tell you the truth as I respect it. And you can do with it as you will. God has allowed me to do this, and you too. But here it is. The life's requirement is all been given. Why would you have a baby if you're not ready to take care of that baby, to feed that baby? That baby needs everything. Why would you have a pet if you're not ready to provide for a pet? Pet can't provide for themselves. If you don't have the adequate stuff, give it up. So why would God create you if the adequate materials are not available to take care of you in the most magnificent way? And God, being God, made it so that that would not be a problem. Gave mankind all of the intellect that they might need to be able to extract from all of that wonderful stuff that God had given them. That anything that they dream, anything that they might will lose, and others will follow you, it seems. So, it is incumbent upon each of us. We can forget that group stuff. Well, they know better, so I'm going to join them. No, you better forget that group stuff. They will take you right down the sinkhole. It's about you and your commitment to God. Your commitment to God. Yes, you should not be unequally yoked with another because they become a problem. If you're going to love God, then your mate should love God as well, just like you love God. If that ain't happening, you ain't got nothing but trouble. All the troubles you got in the world, now you got that. Woo! Man, woman, you've got to go through some stuff. But here you are, in this moment in time. Got to realize that God is that way. That stuff that you have been taught, this destructive, the divisive stuff, and this stuff that causes lying, cheating, stealing, and killing is the result of men's way and the absence of God. That's the bottom line. Yes, you can listen to these presidential candidates if you want. You can choose them just like you're going to choose them. But I want you to know what you're getting is a product of humankind. You got lawyers, and you've been given to think that lawyers are special. They are somebody. Woo! Lawyers, doctors, got guys that are PhDs and this, PhDs and that, and you in your own mind think that they're somebody, but they're the same snake in the house that allows poverty to exist and the results of poverty. And rather than try to ever think about how to fix it, they build jails and cut off welfare and send people out with mind controls and kill them. Woo! So I say to you, this is your moment in time. But I can promise you this. You stand up for truth. You stand up for what God's way of love is, because it's now a part of you. It doesn't mean that you don't want what the world has to offer, because all that stuff belongs to God in you. But you reject it under the principal conditions for which it is available to you. Because you know the way of life. That is the way of death. And so you become an expression, a living expression of the way of life. And let me tell you something. The world will be ready to kill you. Now, they can't kill you before they get permission from God. But they will surely go to God and ask God for permission. And if God has gotten your heart just right in the process of doing things, then your reward is due. And just like Gandhi, for those of you who might be familiar with him, just like Dr. King and the Kennedy brothers, for those of you who know that, Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and a bunch of people who were out there in this struggle of life that we were never privy to know their names, but nevertheless, they were there just the same. And they were swatted out of this planet. But you know what? I'm going to tell you this, you believe it. I don't care if you don't believe this, I'm going to tell you this. It was like for them waking up out of a nightmare. Because at the moment that they left this planet in spirit, they arrived in their paradise. Now, you can believe that if you want.